Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360. I'm Thelma Okoro. The death toll in the accidental bombing of a resettlement camp in Borno State has risen to 90. This is according to medical charity Medicine Sans Frontiers. The incident occurred in Ran IDP camp in Borno's Calabaudi local government area, northeast Nigeria. The group in a statement warned that the figures might increase as their doctors are still treating those injured in the blast. The medical charity says the death toll could be as high as 170. The Nigerian government has described the bombing which occurred on Tuesday as a regrettable operational mistake. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Air Force has also created a board to investigate the shocking incident. In a statement issued, the Nigerian Air Force said the panel of investigators would comprise of senior officers of the Nigerian Air Force. Among its terms of reference, the board is to determine the immediate and remote causes as well as the circumstances that led to the incident. The board is to submit its report not later than February 2nd, 2017. Lawyers representing the leader of the detained indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, and 3 others have alleged that their clients will not get justice in Nigerian courts. They base their allegations on what they describe as the federal government's refusal to obey court orders made in favor of the defendants. Nnamdi Kanu was charged before the court alongside 2 others. They are Benjamin Madubugu and David Nwanwisi on a 6-count charge of treason and managing the affairs of an unlawful society. All the accused persons have denied the accusations leveled against them. They have also been detained at the Kuje prison in Abuja for close to 2 years now.
The fact that court of competent decisions made order directing that Nnamdi Kanu should be released unconditionally and granted the bail, which orders were flouted with impunity, and the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu in the prison custody at the orders by the federal government, an instigation and behavior of the federal government, now gave us rights and opportunity to approach the federal ECOWAS court to intervene. Because in the circumstance, the ECOWAS court has the powers and the jurisdiction to intervene when there is a violation of the citizen right of a member state. That is fundamental. As I've already said, it's contained in Article 9, Article 4, Rule 9 of the Supplementary Protocol of 205, amending the Protocol of 209. So, and the argument has been taken, canvassed before the ECOWAS court, and adjourned for ruling on the 9th of February 2017. So these are facts that gave rise for us to approach ECOWAS court to seek justice, because we are particularly worried by the fact that the Federal High Court that made an order that Nnamdi Kanu should be released unconditionally was the same court that was approached by the federal government with these fictitious, baseless and unfounded charges they prefer against him. And we are not comfortable, and we are not certain that when the same court made further order in the Indian future, that Nnamdi Kanu should be granted or released on bail or released in line with the order of court, that order will be complied with. These are what informed our approach to Federal High Court, to ECOWAS Court of Justice. So, and we have the firm conviction that will get justice in ECOWAS Court.
A federal high court in Lagos State, southwest Nigeria, on Friday fixed January 24th for continuation of the trial of a former acting director general of NIMASA. Haruna Jauro is facing a 304.1 million naira fraud charge. He is charged by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) alongside Dauda Bawa on 19 counts bordering on fraud. The defendants, who were arraigned on April 12, 2016, had pleaded not guilty to the charges leveled against them. Former Gambian President Yahya Jammeh has finally agreed to step down from office. The development was confirmed by President Adama Barrow, who tweeted that Jammeh has also agreed to leave the Gambia. It comes after a second deadline on Friday noon passed as Guinea and Mauritania presidents held last-minute talks with Jammeh. He is expected to depart to Conakry, the capital of Guinea, with the president of the country. Meanwhile, newly inaugurated President Adama Barrow has ordered the Gambia military to obey the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia and be loyal to him as the Commander-in-Chief of the Republic. After taking the oath of office in the presence of diplomatic communities and representatives of ECOWAS and the AU, Barrow said he will also constitute a comprehensive reform to bring about a Gambia that will merit the people of the country.
My right as a winner to be sworn in and assume the office of president is constitutionally guaranteed and irreversible. This is a victory of the Gambian nation. Our national flag will now fly high among those of the most democratic nations of the world. I established a think tank, the Agency for Sustainable Social Economic Development, ASEED. This will bring experts on board to share their knowledge and skill in order to put in place an inclusive development agenda. Men and women of this nation join hands to effect change that was in the making for decades. This is a change that should bring liberty and prosperity to everyone and not to be discriminated on basis of gender, religion, or ethnic origin. We are now determined to build a Gambia where merit and what you know counts more than whom you know. As the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, I call on all personnel of the Armed Forces and other security agencies to remain loyal to the Constitution and the Republic. I command the Chief of the Defense Staff and other officers of high command to demonstrate their loyalty to me as their Commander-in-Chief without any delay. I command all members of the armed forces to remain in their barracks. Those found wanting or in possession of firearms without my order shall be considered rebels.
The Bring Back Our Girls campaign group has recommended the use of negotiation for the quick release of the remaining 195 Chibok girls still in Boko Haram captivity. The co-convener of the group, Obeze Kwesili, made the recommendation while briefing journalists of their findings during the Sambisa tour.
Our federal government, and more directly the military establishment, must be seen to be making the right decisions that are necessary to support our troops in the front line of battle to win the war and rescue our Chibok girls and all other abducted citizens of our country. Following our visit to the Sambisa General area, we want to underline the fact that we support our military wholeheartedly as it continues its operation. However, we also want to highlight the necessity for our federal government to quickly conclude the negotiations that would release 83 of our Chibok girls.
Nigerian President Muhammad Buhari has departed the country to begin a 10-day leave in the UK. The president had written to the National Assembly about his intentions and had also notified of a temporary handover of power to Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. President Buhari's leave ends on February 6, 2017. Before his departure, the president held a brief meeting with all of the country's service chiefs. A statement from the presidency says during the vacation, the president will also undergo routine medical checkups in the United Kingdom. Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose has emerged as the new chairman of the PDP Governors Forum. Governor of Bayelsa State, Sereke Dixon, also announced this to journalists in Abuja. In his acceptance speech, Fayose, who succeeded Governor Olusegun Mimiko, described his election as a call to service and promised not to let the party down as the chairman of the forum. He assured that the PDP would work very hard to reclaim its lost states and also form the government at the center come 2019. The Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency, PPPRA, has denied reports speculating an imminent petrol scarcity. The report started spreading over the federal government's inability to pay fuel marketers the $660 billion debt. PPRA spokesman Lanre Oladele in a statement said the report was misleading and a gross misrepresentation of facts. He also appealed to all depot owners to adhere strictly to subsisting truck-out principle in order to ensure that products get to retail outlets across the country. Now, the NNPC on Wednesday also assured Nigerians that there was no fuel scarcity to warrant panic buying by motorists. The corporation also denied plans to increase the price of fuel of 145. Wife of Nigeria's President Aisha Buhari has commended the activities of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in the country. She made the commendation while receiving Melinda Gates, who is the co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. She paid her a visit at the State House on Thursday. The foundation is known for their global interventions to improve the well-being and livelihood of the poorest people in the world.
Your Excellency and I met in New York. I was really impressed by her Future Assured program, that it's not only taking maternal and child health, but it's taking the full spectrum of reproductive, maternal and child health and adolescence into account. And yesterday I was out in Kaduna and got to be in one of the primary health care clinics. And I think many of the things that the Nigerian government is trying to do to really build out the primary health care clinics. I was at one in Badarawa, but to make sure that the right supplies are there, make sure that the right personnel are there, make sure that they're trained. I think that commitment by the government is what's going to really help the full range of RMNCH plus adolescents. And I think what you're doing with the Future Assured program is really showing the way, showing the difference. In every one of those lives that you see who are touched by one of these programs, it really does change their lives. So I would encourage you to all continue to use your roles. I've heard of many of your strong voices out in the community. They do make a difference. And the last thought I would leave you with is Bill and I think a lot about the groundwork that we're trying to lay today as a foundation. I know you think about the groundwork you're laying. I know the Ministry of Health does. I know the Senate does by financing these pieces, these key pieces of health. But it's really what we're leaving behind to the next generation. We're laying the groundwork to lift up the next generation. So anything that we can do, investments of time, voice, money, getting the right people in the right jobs, you'll build the health system that'll really lift up the next generation in Nigeria. So I encourage you to keep doing that.
I want to sincerely thank you and your husband for the enormous program being implemented by your foundation in an effort to make the world a better place. I'm confident that your commitment and continuous support to our country will bring the needed change required to improve the status of women and children in Nigeria and Africa in general.
The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has urged the Nigerian government to pay salaries owed to judicial workers in the country. The NLC, in a statement signed by its president Ayuba Waba, stressed the importance of the judiciary in the anti-graft war and urged the government to pay the workers their December 2016 salaries. Citing the current economic recession in the country, Waba urged the government to urgently approve the payment of the withheld salaries of the federal judicial workers.
Corruption not in my country.
Mr. John! Mr. John! What is it now?
What is it now?
Please turn down the volume of your music. It's too loud.
And how is that your business?
It is disturbing me. I can't sleep.
And the same way you are disturbing my right to good music and where I enjoy it. What's wrong with you? Is there another person complaining?
Maybe we thought that you have lost your mind. Are you having a party?
I'm just respecting you, sir. Remember, I've paid my husband too.
You will not understand why we are complaining because you do not care about other people except yourself. Look, the transformation we need in this country begins in this compound.
Yes, now.
From you and I. This your selfishness is an offshoot of corruption. And corruption
not in my country.
Oh, you know, go to your bank. Go.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. It's time for business news. Here's Fidelia with the latest stories.
Thank you, Thelma. On business, Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, says government has no other choice than to turn to international financial institutions for loans to finance critical infrastructures projects in the country. She says the government currently has a huge monthly expenditure of about 210 billion naira, coupled with additional debt service burden of 120 billion naira, and must borrow to fund capital projects. The budget has a huge deficit of 2.36 trillion naira, a figure the president said would be financed through borrowing. The naira fell against the United States dollar at the parallel market to 498 on Thursday from 497 recorded on Wednesday. This came hours after the Central Bank of Nigeria resumed dollar sales to bureau de change operators through Travelex. Economic and financial experts say the resumption of dollar sales to the BDCs by the CBN through Travelex would help boost the naira in the country. The local currency has been under persistent pressure owing to the scarcity of dollars in the economy. Oil prices edged for a second day on Friday on expectations that a weekend meeting of the world's top oil producers will demonstrate compliance to a global output cut deal. International benchmark brute crude prices were up to $55.46 a barrel, while U.S. crude oil futures were trading at $52.62 per barrel. A weekend meeting in Vienna of members of the Organization of the Petroleum Exportation Countries and some producers outside of the group, including Russia, is expected to establish a compliance mechanism to verify producers are sticking to a deal to reduce output cut by 1.8 million barrels a day. That's all on business. Thelma will be back with more stories. Don't go away.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so...
Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We're only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which came up with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
A new era has begun for the United States. Donald Trump has been sworn in as the 45th president of the U.S. He takes over from Barack Obama, who left office on Friday. Former President George W. Bush and Bill Clinton attended the ceremony. Hillary Clinton, who Trump defeated in the November election, was also at the Capitol in show of support for national unity and the peaceful transfer of presidential authority. Trump took the oath of office led by Chief Justice John Roberts. During his inauguration speech, Trump vowed to tear up U.S. trade deals he described as a disadvantage to U.S. workers. He also spoke on plans to wipe out terrorism while in office and mend relations with different countries. He also pledged to crush ISIS and introduce tough new vetting on immigrants from countries with terrorist activity, raising fears of discrimination against Muslims. Now, Trump has also set high expectations for his presidency by promising to return jobs to U.S. shores and revive the manufacturing industry.
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and the factories closed. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. Their victories have not been your victories. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs. And while they celebrated in our nation's capital, there was little to celebrate for struggling families all across our land. That all changes starting right here and right now, because this moment is your moment. It belongs to you.
Trump there delivering his first speech as U.S. president. At least 6 people have been found alive in Italy's Rigopiano hotel after an avalanche in the country. Rescuers say the survivors had been discovered buried under snow. Video footage of the first survivors being pulled free was released by rescue teams on Friday afternoon, more than 40 hours after the avalanche. The deep avalanche buried the remote hotel in the central Abruzzo region after several earthquakes in the country. At least 4 people have also been confirmed dead and about 20 are still missing as the rescue effort continues in difficult conditions. World Football Governing Body FIFA has named President of the Nigerian Football Federation Amaju Pinnick into the organizing committee for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup competitions. Pinnick's appointment comes months after FIFA reduced the number of its committee from 26 to just 9. The NFF boss is also a candidate for election into the executive committee of the Confederation of African Football. The CAF elections will take place at the 39th Ordinary General Assembly of the organization in Addis Ababa on March 16, 2017. The Teranga Lions of Senegal are through to the quarterfinals of the 2017 African Cup of Nations in Gabon. The team became the first team to qualify for the quarterfinals after defeating Zimbabwe 2-0 in its second group game. They are now guaranteed to top Group B despite having to face Algeria in their last fixture next Monday. The Lions are on 6 points while Algeria and Zimbabwe have 1 each, with Tunisia in second place on 3 points. Andy Murray has sprung to the defense of his great rival Novak Djokovic after the Serb's surprise exit at the Australian Open tournament. Djokovic, toppled as world number 1 by Murray at the end of last year, was sent packing by wildcard Dennis Istomin in the second round to end his hopes of a 7th title at Melbourne Park. It was Djokovic's earliest loss at a Grand Slam tournament in nearly a decade and fueled talks that the 29-year-old is showing signs of a decline. He's a 12-time Grand Slam champion in the tennis world. However, Murray says people should not be too quick to judge Djokovic. Murray is now clear favorite to claim his first Australian Open title, having reached the last 16 without dropping a set in the tournament. That's all we have on News Now. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Thelma Okoro.